Bienvenidos, worldwide fans of the planet's hottest entertainment with an edge. Jaime En Fuego here, welcoming you to my namesake program, Enfuegotainment. That's right, you can just call me Fuego for short, and I'm stoked to have you here, but not stoked to be discussing what is kind of part of the protocol, procedure here. Yes, this is my 10 worst movies that I witnessed here in the year of 19, and obviously everybody is familiar with that old saying, if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all. But unfortunately, you have to at least say something. But with that sentiment in mind, I'm going to keep these proceedings as brief as possible because honestly, I don't want to talk about these movies extensively anyway, you know, but hey, it is what it is, and let's just, as everybody likes to say, jump right into it. So, at number 10, we have Glass. Glass was one of my most anticipated films of the year. M. Night Shyamalan Ding Dong, whatever the hell he wants to call him. He's experienced quite the renaissance as of late, you know. I thought The Visit was pretty damn good, actually. I had some fun with that. And then, seriously, the previous film in this apparent trilogy, you know, was just fantastic. McAvoy was terrific, and, you know, I don't know, just bridging out the trilogy of everything with, you know, Unbreakable and, you know, Split and whatnot, I was very, very excited. And boy, did this movie fall flat. The performances were uninspired, with the exception of McAvoy. McAvoy still brought it. He's a tremendous actor, and he's terrific in this role. But the two who I was so excited to see brought back, Bruce Willis, Samuel L. Jackson, going through the motions. And then the chick from, American Horror Story, her name is eluding me at this particular point. Her character was just poorly written, unnecessary. This was one of the most anticlimactic and boringly written films that I saw this year, and it legitimately broke my heart. It like shattered the glass of my heart because of the fact that yes, this could have been amazing, and it was just amazingly disappointing, unfortunately. At number 9, I have another one of my most anticipated of the year. The Lego Movie, the second part. The first Lego Movie was an amazing surprise. It was delightful. I enjoyed the social commentary about nonconformity. I was like, wow, this is pretty terrific, actually. And then Lego Batman was even better. But I should have known after Lego Ninjago or whatever the hell that one was. I was like, this one's really kind of uninspired. What's going on here? And then the Lego Movie, the second part, was just so many of the same jokes, and it really was just rehash, and it wasn't funny. The new song was not catchy. Tiffany Haddish, at least for me, was rather annoying in this new character role, and I don't know, it just did not have the same, it didn't have the same pizzazz. I didn't feel like it had really much to say at all in comparison with the previous film. And so yeah, the Lego Movie, another one that I was really stoked about and just ended up being massively disappointed by. At number 8, we have another one that, my God, like, I bought my tickets so far in advance for Jay and Silent Bob Reboot, and the problem, I think, more so than anything, and we talk about this at length, myself and Cecil Laird from The Horror Show, in our extensive spoiler review, is the fact that we watched a double feature, and the double feature was Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back, followed immediately by Jay and Silent Bob Reboot. And the problem with that was you saw just the paling comparison of quality, and also just the recycling of jokes and all this other stuff. And I mean, granted, I understand that in this rebequel culture that we have, I mean, look at Jurassic World, look at The Force Awakens. These were almost borderline remakes to a degree, and I feel like that's what Kev was, you know, deliberately kind of trying to do. But aside from the scene where we get, you know, like our Chasing Amy characters back, you know, I really just did not like this movie, and that's a big bummer because I love Kevin Smith, and yeah, I mean, the original Jersey films in the Views universe, so to speak. I mean, Clerks is my favorite movie of all time, as if we're talking comedies. I mean, it's Clerks and Aliens, two despondently different. They're tied for my favorite films ever. And I mean, Mallrats, Chasing Amy, definitely the strongest in the dramatic department. Dogma has grown on me over the years, but I really don't think Kevin Smith, aside from maybe Red State, has made a great movie since Strike Back. And unfortunately, Reboot continues that trend where, I don't know what it is, it's Kevin Smith starts smoking that wheezy, dude. He just I don't know. I'm hopeful that since we're apparently getting Clerks 3 now, and even supposedly Mallrats 2 at this particular point, when he's been doing this Reboot Roadshow thing, he has been mentioning that on some of the stops. So fingers firmly crossed that with just more of, I guess, a focused, narrative and a continuation as opposed to the whole, reboot, repequel commentary that he was apparently trying to go for here, but in my estimation failed. But Jay and Silent Bob Reboot, my number 8, not good. Bummer. At number 7, we have The Dirt, the Motley Crue movie, and I think that Motley Crue's music is dirt, so I didn't necessarily go into this probably programmed to actually enjoy this film, but aside from Machine Gun Kelly as Tommy Lee, who is really the only, well, I guess I don't mind Nikki Sixx, I don't know, I'm not a Vince Neil fan. Ugh. I guess Vince Neil is really the only one in that band that I really don't like, but this movie was so just lacking in the narrative, and I mean, it really was just hedonistic bit after hedonistic bit, and I know that that's what they were notorious for, and granted, okay, they set the stage and they were the trailblazers for shitty hair metal in LA, so good for you, but aside from the sequence where it shows like a day in Tommy Lee's life on tour, that was relatively entertaining, but legitimately everything else, the acting, it was just a bad, boring movie. But if you liked it, hey, as I always say, film is subjective. Next up at number 6, we have Gemini Man. Gemini Man is a script that had bounced around for a long time, as a matter of fact, I think since the 90s, and it had all kinds of different actors attached at various points, and Clint Eastwood, at one particular time, but needless to say, ends up with Will Smith, and I dig Will Smith. I still like Will Smith. Mary Elizabeth Winstead is a babe, and she is a terrific actress, but this script was so insanely just drab and uninteresting. It had a couple interesting action sequences here and there, but really, the whole selling point of this is the de-aged, Will Smith and everything, playing these dueling roles and whatnot. And at some points it looked pretty good, but especially like out in the light. And I watched it in like the 60 frames or whatever it was, if I recall correctly. And so, especially in that regard, it legitimately looked fake to me. And I don't know why that's even a thing, to shoot at that high of a frame rate, because of the fact that it makes a movie look like a movie, and it kind of takes you out of the escapist aspect of going to the cinema. So, I mean, paper-thin script, some shooting for laughs, like there's almost kind of a love thing that never really develops into anything. I mean, I don't know. This movie, as far as like, I love the mind-bending science fiction-y type thing, but that result, this was not. At number 5, we have Replicas. Yes, John Wick was awesome. It's in my best of the year. This Keanu Reeves vehicle, unfortunately, that came out at the beginning, also had Tom Middleditch, I want to say his name is, dude from Silicon Valley, and he was in The Final Girls, very funny. But this was just, it was like a whimper in theaters, didn't make any money. It's about this guy who was like trying to, bring dead family members and stuff back, but it was some of the most boring science fiction. It was really neck and neck with Gemini Man as being just like, what am I watching here? This is just incredibly poorly executed, and the robot stuff, it's bad, and I really don't even want to. This was like the worst on Jeremy John's list, which is funny. It was his number 1, but I saw worse things this year than Replicas. But at number 4, we have another at least K. Smith and J. Muse project, but oh boy, Madness in the Method was far worse than Jay and Silent Bob Reboot. It's Jay playing himself. Kevin Smith shows up here and there playing himself, but Jay inadvertently turns into a serial killer. He accidentally kills one person, and then he's like covering up by killing more people, so the truth doesn't get out, and we have Vinnie Jones in there for whatever reason. We have strange cameos from like all of his friends, but once again, this movie was poorly directed. Sorry, Jay. He actually directed this one. I believe it was his directorial debut for a feature, but I mean, it was basically, hey, I'm gonna ask all of my buddies to come and cameo in this movie that is poorly scripted, isn't funny. I will admit, though, that the actor who plays Dante, it's eluding me. I keep thinking Jeff Anderson, but yeah, that's obviously, dude who played Randall. But anyway, actor who played Dante, he plays himself but amps it up, and he is the most amusing part of this movie. He's really the only person who generated any laughs in my estimation here. But yeah, as far as like the dark comedy sort of route, like Very Bad Things-ish, that I know Jay was aspiring for in this, oh boy, does it fail so miserably. And it's really sad for me to say that, because I love Jay Muse and Kate Smith, man. They're two of my favorite people, and I've seen them live countless times, but yeah, boy, this movie was really wretched. It makes me sad to say it. Number 3, we have what probably is the worst movie that I saw this year, but it really just didn't incite the just anger within me that my number 1 and my number 2 did, who both star the same actor, if that's a hint. But The Spiral is a Malaysian science fiction thriller that I watched at the Phoenix Film Festival, and it's a turd. It is probably the worst acting that I saw this year. Essentially, I mean, there's this guy who goes missing, this professor. He shows up in a cafe, kills a bunch of people, and then this woman is hired to, well, she's not hired, it's her job, obviously. She's like a criminal profiler, and she's like fascinated with this guy, and she's strangely attracted to him. No chemistry whatsoever. It starts causing friction in her relationship at home. No chemistry whatsoever. The acting, like I said, is the absolute worst that I saw this year. But, I was just really, at the end of the day, just unenthused, indifferent, and I honestly felt like walking out of this movie at one particular point. I was looking at its U.S. Domestic gross. It made just barely over $3,000. Yikes, yeah. But I'm sure it was just in limited release anyway. But, in some cases, this movie would be my number 1, but that's because the next couple just, they just incited anger within me because I just despise them so much. And that doesn't really happen very often, but the McConaissance is most definitely over. Yes, he won his Academy Award a few years ago and stuff, and I have always liked, McConaughey. All right, L-I-V-I-N, man. He's been a favorite of mine for a long time. He was typecast for, playing the stupid stonery whatever guy, and we'll get to that here. But he did a movie called Serenity this year. Anne Hathaway, obviously McConaughey and stuff. Stupidest twist in a movie, I wanted to scream at the screen. I was so just like, what in the hell are they doing? Is this supposed to be clever? Because it's totally not. It's dumb as all hell. And so, I don't want to spoil what the twist is, but, so, really, McConaughey, he's out, just kind of living, just fishing, doing this thing, in this little port town, and his ex-wife shows up and wants him to kill her current husband, played by Jason Clarke, I believe, if I remember correctly. And yeah, it just, he's not willing to do it at first, and then she coerces him, he gets some of her goodies, and then all of a sudden you realize what is really going on in this movie, and it's utterly ridiculous. I couldn't even believe what I was watching. And the second half of this movie, I hate to use a term like retardulous, but yeah, I know that's un-PC of me, everybody. But yes, Serenity, holy smokes, was it just inane and idiotic, and it just blew my mind with how silly and stupid it was. But my number 1, I can't believe that I've spoken to people who actually like this movie, because pretty much everyone I've talked to is like, yes, Serenity is shockingly stupid, and but yeah, another McConaughey movie, Beach Bum. Beach Bum, I was just so, just brooding with just resentment and frustration watching this movie because of the fact that McConaughey plays this lovable stoner writer guy that you're supposed to like him, but there is nothing likable about this character. Donuts, zip, zilch, and it's got an all-star cast. I mean, the stuff with Martin Lawrence is actually, it amused me. It's the only stuff in the movie that amused me. This main character, this lovable buffoon, at least as you're supposed to perceive him, I mean, man, the Zac Efron stuff where he's breaking out of rehab, like, this guy just does the shittiest stuff, one after another, just thing after thing after thing, and yet people still love him. He's so adorable, he's so likable. No, he is a friggin' idiot, and there is nothing endearing about him, and I'm sick of talking about this movie. If you want to see the full scale of my rant, watch my Beach Bum review, watch my Serenity review, but yeah, sorry McConaughey, this was a bad year for you, bro. So, just to recap, at number 10, Glass, number 9, Lego, the second part. At number 8, Jay and Silent Bob Reboot. At number 7, The Dirt. At number 6, Gemini Man. At number 5, Replicas. Number 4, Madness in the Method. Number 3, The Spiral. Number 2, Serenity. And number 1, Beach Bum. Fuck these movies. They are absolutely awful. I've been Jaime En Fuego. You can find me on all social media sectors like Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, here on YouTube, where I have been doing countless reviews since relaunching my channel here at the beginning of the year, in this year of 19. Lots of Star Wars coverage. I've done some comics, I've done some novels, I've done revisits of the prequels. You can check out my review of Rise of Skywalker. Yeah, lots of Star Warsy stuff, but also some of my favorite movies of the year have been reviewed on this, and I do have a best of list, my 25 best actually, and that's coming probably tomorrow, I would say. But yes, reviews of stuff like Knives Out, Wild Rose, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, Good Boys, The Art of Self-Defense. These are some of the best films. These are films worth talking about. And so, yeah, you can check out reviews for all of that stuff. But unless you are just stumbling upon my video for whatever silly reason, yes, I am more prominently seen on the Horror Show channel, youtube.com/The Horror Show channel. That's where all things spooktacular are covered with at least one episode a day, and we have been doing that for over 5 years at this particular point. We're about to start the 6th year of the show. Trailer reactions, film reviews, unboxings, video game let's plays, convention coverage, all kinds of rad status, spooktacular stuff. So migrate over there if you aren't subscribed already. It is greatly appreciated. And then lastly, usually on Mondays, but sometimes scheduling conflicts, sickness, you know, life comes at you fast, man. You know, on the Will Escridia YouTube channel, I take part in a program called Show Business, #Tizzle Show Business, Mondays, 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific, where myself, Lindsay Mimze, as I so affectionately call him, from my 2 cents of nonsense on YouTube, we sit and have some palaver with CP, the mastermind of Will Escridia and the Brit and the Twit, amongst various other guest starrings and whatnot. But yeah, we discuss weekend box office from the previous couple of days. We look ahead and make some predictions to the following weekend. And then lastly, we just have a little bit of discussion about some of the biggest stories in the entertainment world. So check that out. It is a live program, and it is always appreciated for those who tune in. So I've been Fuego. Y'all have been awesome. These movies were not, though. But hey, until the best of and the Wheel of Ka comes around once more, the Reel of Ka, I should specify, I shall say hasta luego, Cinemigos, and constant readers and viewers alike. And I'm hopeful that we get to share more of this film discussion sooner rather than later. Peace out!